Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Max, where we're still taking a look at the changes made by the Echoes of the Sentient update. We've already looked at the brand new weapons to have been released, so let's have a look at those that have been given a new lease of life. I am of course talking about shotguns, and more specifically the Tigress. Now the Tigress was released back in update 11, which quite frankly feels such a long time ago at this point. However, it never really got the recognition that other weapons at the time had. The damage was fairly mediocre, and with a 1.8 second reload, people just simply never used it. It was often referred to as one of the worst weapons in the game, something I always found, to be honest, fairly harsh. However, the shotgun buff has been incredibly kind to the Tigress. So what are we looking at in terms of the stats of the weapon? Well, with an absolutely insane base damage of 1050, with the majority 840 coming in the form of slash, 105 as both impact and puncture, the Tigress has the highest base damage of any weapon in the game. It also has a pretty, well, an incredibly tight pellet spread, meaning that even at longer range, it can effectively put the majority of its pellets right in the face of enemies. That, combined with a pretty damn decent 25% status and low pellet count, means that you're often going to see those slash procs aiding you in killing units, chopping them into tiny little pieces on a fairly regular basis. Other than that, with just a 5% critical chance, you're not going to crit very often. However, with a 200% multiplier and the raw damage of the Tigress, it is going to hit like an absolute truck if it does crit. In addition to that, the fact that it has 2 shots before you reload, while pushing out crazy damage numbers, it does mean that the Tigress is fantastically ammo efficient, and very, very rarely runs out of ammo. Well, I say rarely, I mean literally never runs out of ammo. I don't think I've ever managed to do it. The Tigress also got an absolutely fantastic quality of life buff, in the fact that it now has an alternate fire that fires 1 shot at a time, rather than having to left click and hold the mouse button until you're ready to fire off the second shot. This makes the Tigress a lot less annoying to use, and it's definitely a welcome change. The alt fire does seem to be silent right now, however I'm pretty sure, in fact 100% sure, that that's not going to be intended and will be fixed in a future hotfix. Now the Tigress doesn't have it all its own way, and it does have downsides to balance out the awesomeness. The 2-shot magazine, that means that without punch through, it's pretty ineffective against groups of enemies. Not only that, but it means you're going to be reloading a lot, well basically every time you pull the trigger. And with a reload of 1.8 seconds for every 2 shots, the Tigress can feel pretty sluggish and unresponsive to use. Although this can be remedied to some extent with the use of reload mods. As with most shotguns, the Tigress also does come with damage drop off from, I'd say, about 15 meters onwards. However, due to the latest shotgun buffs, it will never be less than 50% of the damage, even at your max fall off. And since the Tigress does so much damage and has so little spread, the sniper Tigress is still a thing. However, it is something to remember while playing. Enemies up close will die a lot quicker than those at range, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's a shotgun after all. The low pellet count does also work against it slightly, because it does limit the multi-shot that the Tigress puts out. However, it works both, better with the status chance, so it is kind of a double-edged sword. Okay, so let's move on to starting to mod the Tigress. Now, unlike most of my builds, I'm not going to just do a straight, this is the one build, here are the elemental combos. There are 2 different builds that we're actually going to be looking at here today. So, the Tigress doesn't come with any polarities as standard. We've got to add 5 former to be able to do either of these builds. So we're going to add in 3 Vs and 2 dashes. Now for this build, the majority of the mods are going to remain the same. We've got Prime Point Blank, we've got Hell's Chamber, we've got Sweeping Serration to increase the slash damage, and it is absolutely worth it on the Tigress. We've got Seeking Fury for the punch through, as well as increasing that reload speed a bit. And we've got Tactical Pump, which is also going to increase the reload speed. And it brings the reload down to a pretty decent 1.2 seconds. Now for this is more of the elemental reload combo. So in terms of, this is the Corpus Build, so we've got Chilling Grasp and Charged Shell for magnetic. Blaze, which is going to add to the damage with that 60% extra damage, as well as the extra heat damage. And obviously if you're going to go with Grenier, just change Chilling Grasp out for Incendiary Coat, and now you've got Radiation. And if you're going to go for a void build, you can change that out for that. And then you've got corrosive and heat damage for the void. And obviously you can switch things around once more if you're running corrosive projection. And then you've got the viral and heat damage you need for that. However, this is probably not what I would go for in terms of my build. This is actually, you know, a pretty, what I call a cookie cutter build. Very standard build for the Tigris. This, however, it was originally pointed out by Quiet Shy as the idea, and I really took it on from there. So we got Prime Point Blank for damage, Hell's Chamber for multi-shot, Sweeping Serration for slash damage, Seeking Fury once again. However, this time we've got a max rank ammo stock and a rank 1 burden magazine, which actually brings our magazine up to a total of 4. So basically now you've got 4 shots to use before you need to reload. Now obviously you don't get quite the same damage as this build because you don't have the blaze mod in there all of the time, especially since, I mean, obviously this is the magnetic build. If you're running if you're going for a more radiation build, then obviously you could have that in there. But the majority of the time you're not actually going to have blaze on. But I think the 4 shots in the magazine really makes up for that, and this is definitely my preferred build. I absolutely love that 4-shot magazine. So the Tigris, is it worth the time, effort and the former to max it? And the answer to that is hell yes it is. I'll be honest, I had the Tigris hanging up on the wall, no potato, no former or anything. Until our favourite Cephalon Quiet Shy did a video on the quad barrel Tigris build. I brought the Tigris out of retirement immediately, formed it, maxed it, and honed the build ever so slightly, and boy was it fun. This was all before the shotgun buff even happened, but wow, just wow, the Tigris is absolutely insane now. I am still addicted to that quad barrel build more than the reload buff build, even though it does less damage per shot. The thing is, the damage output is way higher. When you get to the stage where they don't die in 2 hits, which is obviously going to be a pretty high level, the 4 shots before the reload is an absolute godsend. I hate it when I'm killing a high level enemy and have to reload halfway through. That at high level is an absolute killer. So even though you're losing a bit of raw damage, you are able to push your shots out faster and in a bigger burst, which kind of makes up for it. To say the shotgun buff has been kind to the Tigris is really understating just how insanely good this thing is now. I liked shotguns before the buff, even though they were thought of as weak, but now the buffs come, I rarely play anything else. I'm not going to get into which shotgun is best over each other, because there's far too many factors that affect that, not just stats of the weapon, but also the personal preference and playstyle of each individual player. But there is absolutely no denying that the Tigris is now absolutely incredible. It's epic fun to play, insane damage in such a small package. Scott absolutely hit the nail on the head when it comes to the buff to the Tigris. Definitely one of the strongest weapons out there at close range, and very, very few weapons even get vaguely close. Well worth a former, well worth both maxing the weapon and all of the mods. Now just a quick little thing from me, the speed my channel is growing is absolutely incredible, and I must thank every single one of you for that. I hope you're enjoying the little derping around challenges I've been doing with Tactical Potato. We're having a ton of fun making them, that's for sure, and we do have some more coming in the very near future. But I do want to just say, however, that while I love that older weapons are still being requested to max out, I'm not going to be doing any weapons that were not touched by Update 17 until all the ones that have gotten changes have been looked at. That's not to say that they're never going to be looked at, they're just not a priority just for now. So with that said, stay tuned for more Update 17 related content in the near future, and I shall see you in the next episode.